The Rockets just beat the Atlanta Hawks in a game that looked like it was going to be a blowout. Down 16 points in the third quarter, a scuffle that started between Jabari and Dejounte Murray and turned into a Trae Young and Jalen Green scuffle kind of fueled their turnaround. There were a lot of things that were going on in this game, and I'm going to get into that right after this. The Chop Shop store is now open. Stop by the Chop Shop merch store and browse through our catalog of great products that show support for the Houston Rockets and for this channel. If you're a supporter and liker of the videos that we produce, stop over by the store and review some of these great designs and rep your city, rep your team, and rep the Chop Shop. That's the Chop Shop merch store. The link is going to be in the description of this video. Stop by there. The prices are low, the content is great, and the quality is A1. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop. Stop by the merch store. Grab you something today. Letting the opposing backcourt go for 83 points is never good, right? You're not going to win a lot of games doing that. But the Rockets somehow survived this game, and it really came down to rebounding and second chance points. If you look at it, I mean, we out-rebounded them 59-28, which is just crazy. I mean, that's nuts, but it starts with, you know, the guys that you have on the court. And I'm going to talk about some of the key players from this game that I thought were impactful in getting this victory. First and foremost, let's talk about KJ Martin. And you guys know I'm a big fan of KJ Martin. In this game, he had 21 points and 15 rebounds, which is nuts. You know, I mean, this is a guy that a lot of people have been clamoring for him to start for the past 2 years almost. You know, what he brings to the team is a different element in the starting lineup. A lot of times with Eric Gordon there, his play overlaps with Jalen's and Kevin Porter Jr.'s. He's going to be a tunnel vision scorer that doesn't really add much on the rebounding side, doesn't really run in transition. Even though he is a pretty good defender, he's limited in the type of defense he provides. With KJ, instantly, you're adding a transition element that the team doesn't have. Instantly, you're adding weak side rim protection. Instantly, you're adding a lob threat for our guards to run with, and instantly, you're adding just another player that's able to cut, move, and keep the offense flowing. And this is especially valuable when we have the players that we have in our starting lineup. Think about it. Kevin Porter Jr., not really a guy that's going to, you know, pass the ball and move it around just a whole lot. You know, he's an ISO. That's his bread and butter is isolation scoring. Jalen, not the best vision in the world. You know, he's getting there, but he's not good. KBJ has pretty much the best vision on the court. You have Jabari. He's barely learning how to walk, and we'll talk about how good he's playing in a little bit. And, you know, if Sengun is out there, he's able to work with that, but the other players aren't, so he'd be the odd man out. So inserting KJ, a guy that's willing to screen, he's willing to roll, he's willing to run and transition, play defense, do all the little things that you need, it kind of helps everything out. And one of the key things that he does with his athleticism is rebounding. So it was no shock to me that inserting him in the lineup took our rebounding to another level. So, you know, shout out to KJ, 21 points. He went 1 for 1 from 3, able to just display his skill set. I mean, he was cutting, he was dunking, he was having putbacks, just screening, had a couple pick and roll lobs with Kevin Porter Jr., just playing smart basketball, and even able to get 2 assists and a steal. So shout out to him. Great game from him. He was a +8 from the game. He is definitely somebody that we need to start. I think it's time that, you know, the Eric Gordon starting thing, I know it's not going to happen. Y'all know how Coach Silas already said Eric Gordon is a extension of him on the court, which, you know, I mean, Eric Gordon's pretty much the veteran on the team, so I don't expect him to say anything bad about him. But it's apparent at this point, like, KJ needs to start. I think we need to kind of admit that. I mean, he is always a plus in our games, even the games where we get blown out. So I'm going to say KJ needs to start. Next player we're going to talk about is Jabari Smith Jr. Okay, so you guys know we just did the Chop Shop podcast, and if you watched that episode that we just released a few days ago, we were talking about Jabari's ceiling as a player. And one of the things that I compared him to was the Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki. It's not a one-to-one match, right? It's not saying that he is Kevin Garnett or he is Dirk. The point is that this is a player that's a forward that is 6'11", that can shoot and play defense. The thing that really got me with the Garnett comparison for him is his intensity. Jabari is an a-hole. He's always been a-hole. He's always been an a-hole. He was an a-hole at Auburn. He was in training camp. He is in the summer league. This is who he is. And even though he comes off as a clean-cut kid, the dude he's fiery, man. He wants to fight. Damn, he tried to fight Jalen. That's how I knew he was going to be a dog. So it's no surprise to me, and this is in the most endearing way that I'm calling him these are the type of guys you need. It's no surprise to me that when Dejounte Murray made that shot and slapped him in the back of his head, that he was not going to let that sit. You notice he didn't do it during the game. And I'll shout out to Mike on Twitter for pointing this out. He didn't do it during the game because that would have cost the team. He waited to a dead ball to address the issue, which led to Jalen having to come in, and which led to the Trae Young thing that led to the turnaround for the team to kind of get back in this game. But Jabari, 2 back-to-back games where he's scored over 20 points. He's getting comfortable. You notice that the first play of the game, the Rockets actually ran a play for him to get him going. And I like when they do that because it kind of gets him in the flow of the offense. When he's able to get his shot going, it kind of helps out on his other part of his game. It just makes him more confident. And I think they should be more intentional in getting him going, just like any other player. But great game from him. I mean, he's rebounding. He had 9 rebounds today. He shot 5 of 11 from 3, 45%. Still struggling finishing, but that's going to come. That's really a matter of just, getting in the lab. He still struggles on the mid-range because of strength. Those are things that are going to come around. If you look at Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, they struggled a lot their rookie years because playing in the post, that's a man's game. That's a man's game. This isn't a perimeter this is not a perimeter player. Bigs that are more perimeter oriented can get away with that developmental curve because they can hide by shooting jump shots and self-creating. So you got your Paolo Bancheros and ADs and guys like that because they can create their own shots off the dribble. It kind of masks some of the limitations they may have in their development as men and trying to play on the block. Now for Jabari, he does not have a dribble package. His game is going to be perimeter when he's getting served by a guard, or it's going to be when he is in the post, able to punish dudes with his height and his size. The problem is he doesn't have the height. I mean, he has the height, he doesn't have the size right now. So a lot of those fadeaways, he's getting bumped. He's not really keeping his space. He's not using his, the strength that he's going to have to his advantage because he doesn't have it right now. So we have to be patient on that. That takes time. That type of development takes time. You got to look at some of these other great players and how their arc went. So give Jabari a couple years to get his body and his strength right. But at baseline, he's a 3-and-D forward/wing that's going to add to winning no matter what he does. He's going to keep improving. He's a different type of player than some of the other guys that were drafted. This is a guy that's going to help you win a championship. This is a guy that's going to impact winning in every single way because he does all the little stuff. Plus, he's going to be a game changer. Once that mid-range jumper comes in, it's curtains. It's curtains because he's going to be able to be a secondary player off whoever your main ball handler is. Then if he gets to the point where that jumper in the midi is automatic, he can close out games for you. Then he's guarding 1 through 5. He's going to be the small ball 5. He can guard the perimeter like you saw him guarding Trae Young. So it's exciting to see him kind of develop like this. Y'all stay patient with this kid. It's not going to be this year. It might not even be next year. But his trajectory, if you've watched basketball long enough, you've seen guys like him come in the league. He's a forward. He's only 19. He's a baby. Just let him get stronger. Let him get his game down packed. Not everybody is like, dribbling between the legs, able to do all the stuff like Paolo Banchero could do. That's what makes Paolo special. But there are things that Jabari can do that Paolo will never be able to do. So y'all have to learn to appreciate a different style of prospect rather than just the ball dominant dribble, shoot, he can pass. That's good. And, that's a great asset to have on your team. But basketball players come in all different shapes and sizes and skill sets. So great job to Jabari. Team high plus 14 for him. Keep it going. Bruno Fernando. Okay. So there's all this thing about Bruno Fernando and the defensive presence that he brings to the team, and that's why Sengun shouldn't start. That's cap. In the games he's played, the defense has fared no better. His plus minus is not as great as Sengun's. It's not nothing to his fault. It's just that the defense isn't good. Our defense isn't good. If you watch tonight's game, they had Bruno playing the drop, and the Hawks abused them. A lot of the points that were scored by Murray and Young were on Bruno because he was playing the drop. And we've talked about the drop on this channel a million times. So y'all know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the drop. I'm talking about when a big is sagging off the screen because he doesn't want to give up the drive. So they're going to sag off. The problem is when you got shooters, that's pretty much giving up an open shot to a shooter, especially if your guards aren't helping you out. Like our guards were not playing good defense on screens tonight. They kept on going under. They went under on Trae Young sometimes. They went under on Murray all night. And the problem with that is if the guy is hot, you have to be able to make in-game adjustments. And that's something that they were not doing. If the game plan was to, okay, we're going to go under the screens on Murray because he's not a great shooter, that's cool. But you got to be able to scrap game plans in the middle of the game and be able to adjust to what you're seeing in real time. But luckily that didn't bite us too much because we're able to just out hustle them and outplay them to get the dub. But if that was a playoff series or even something like a game we wanted to win, you got to be able to make those adjustments. And the problem with Bruno is that he can't really play up because he would get killed on the drives then. So he has the same issue Sengun has. The rim protection is only theoretical at this point. We can think about it just because he can jump high, but if you look at the numbers, he doesn't really block any more shots than Sengun does. The defense isn't that much better than Sengun's is, and he doesn't add really nothing on offense except a lob threat. So if you look at it in the net rating for him as a player, the question is his defense overcome his offensive limitations? And to me, the answer is no. Then you look at Sengun, Sengun's lack of defense or perceived lack of defense, is that something to negate his offensive production? To me, the answer is no. So right now, my center lineup stands as I said before. Sengun should be the starter. Bruno and Garuba should really be splitting minutes right now because I actually think Garuba is a fine medium between Sengun and Bruno. He's actually somebody that I actually think may have a chance to one day be a starter or at least be the second center off the bench and allow Bruno to his role of spot minutes. No shade on Bruno. I love what he brings to the team, but it's just too one-dimensional for our team right now at this moment. Jalen Green was balling. He was an efficient 10 of 17 tonight, 58% from the field, only shot 3 of 9 from 3, but he was doing it in different ways. Got to the line 9 times, dropped a cool 30, 5 and 5. He did foul out of the game, but he did enough to get the team to the victory line, and the rest of the guys were able to push it through. But he played a great game. Jalen is kind of coming out of a slump that he's in. He still didn't, to me, he didn't have a super great game. He could have been better. Defense left a little bit to be desired, but this is what, the progression for him is just getting comfortable in his role. I liked how aggressive he was throughout this game, and I need him to be that aggressive, with his shots. So kudos to him. I think that he is going to come out, and I think we've forgotten how good he is, because he's been in a slump a little bit. When he plays good, we have a chance. So we got to be able to get him going. But I think I like what he did tonight. He played a really, really good game. Was trying to facilitate early. I think the foul trouble kind of, messed him up a little bit, but, good for him. Kevin Porter Jr., 5 of 16, not the most efficient, went 0 for 6 from 3. One thing I can say about him in this game, first of all, he had 10 assists. But one thing I can say about him in this game is that he actually let other people cook. One of the things I was concerned about was that towards the end of the game, when Jabari was going and Jalen was going, I was like, okay, here's a big test for Kevin Porter Jr. You got 2 teammates that are cooking right now. Are you going to be like tunnel vision and just try to close out the game by yourself and not trust them? But he actually let the team flow and the offense flow and let the other guys kind of help him out in the offense and trying to close the game. That is progress for him. If he can be more of, like I said, he needs to be almost a shadow figure as a playmaker. We don't need him to be Luka or James Harden. He needs to be part of the team. And today it seems like he was more willing to be off ball and let the offense kind of take care of itself. And that boded well for the team. When he tried to force it, it looked bad. And he had a stretch where he was trying to do too much, but it seems like Coach Silas took him out. When he came back in, he was more focused. So, 36 minutes for him. He was a +5. Not the greatest game for him, but I like the fact that he wasn't overly aggressive. So I like to see more of that for him. Let him be like the guy that sets the table. That's really what he needs. And that's really what a point guard is. You set the table for your guys. Your job is to get everybody else going. If you want to score, then you don't need to be a point guard. You can be a scorer. You can be a ball dominant, heliocentric player. I don't think that's what we need for this team because we have so many talented guys. And I love games like this. Even though he took 16 shots, a couple of them were forced. Most of them were within the flow of the offense. This is how he needs to play. He needs to play more as a secondary kind of ball handler that gets guys in their spots. Then the scoring comes out of that. So, good job to him. Pretty good game. If we had lost, it would have looked bad for him. But the fact we got the Vic is, that's good for him. Usman Garuba, can't say enough about the kid. I mean, he only took 2 shots tonight, went 0 for 1 from 3, 87% at the free throw line. So Usman is pretty much Steph Curry now with shooting, but brings the energy. One of the guys that really adds to our team on the rebounding department. But he's just a guy that I really, I've signed the apology for him. I've mailed him, express mail to him, saying that he wasn't an NBA player last year. He just needed time, right? He needed time. Daishen Nix, speaking of guys that are accused of not being NBA players, I don't know. I can't really judge his game. He made a couple, type of things, but what else? I don't think we had a choice tonight with Eric being out and Jalen in foul trouble. People were complaining about Knicks playing. I don't think they had a choice. He didn't do enough to hurt the team super bad, so I guess that's a positive. His defense is really, really bad, especially on quicker guards, but he can always do better. Tari, 18 minutes. He went 2 of 9, still tunnel vision. I love the hustle he brings. 7 rebounds off the bench. You can always win with that. Just need him to be able to hold back himself. He gets a little too excited. Like I said, if he can tame his skills, tame his effort, and control it, he can be a star in this league. He just got to be able to control it, but I can't tell him to stop playing hard. Josh Christopher, 5 minutes, minus 10. Not the greatest game from him. I still think he needs to play into his groove. I think these spot mints are not going to do him any good. But he just got to keep, when you get in, you got to do what you got to do. Now, Garrison Mathews, man. Okay, so he had 20 points. This dude went 3 of 5 from 3, 9 of 9 from the line, 4 of 6 overall. He had a good game. I'm not going to cap. I'm not a big Garrison Mathews guy because I feel like, his defense isn't great. And when he's not shooting, he's really not doing anything else but just kind of being there. But these are the type of games that when you get him hot, you ride it out, right? You get it. If he's the hot hand, you got to ride it out. And Kosales did a good job of doing that. A lot of times he'll pull guys when they're doing good, but he kept Gary in. And, you hope he carries this over to another game, but he's the type of player, if he doesn't, just don't play him, right? You give him a shot. If his shots is hitting, he hits a couple threes, then you keep him going. So I'm not going to reform my thinking about what he is just based on this game. He was due for this game. This dude has been shooting bad for since the end of last season. So, I mean, this is the least he could do. This is, the type of player he's supposed to be. I also think they could utilize him a little better. And the fact that him and Jabari, I saw a couple things where they try to screen off of each other. That's kind of scary. I need that. I need that offensive creativity from the team where they're using the weapons to their advantages. Those are some of the criticisms I'll have from our offense is that it's very vanilla. But I think Gary, if he's on, then he's on. And if he's on, then we have a good chance of winning because anything he does is just icing on the cake. You feel me? Kosales he pitched a good game today. He pitched a good game. I'll give him that. I mean, he pulled guys when he needs to pull them. I'm going to assume that he's growing also as a coach because he's young as well. And some of the things he does are head scratchers. I just think that he might be over his head sometimes with all these young guys. And he's trying to do a lot of things at the same time, so it comes out kind of looking hectic. So hopefully he keeps growing. He's been pitching a couple good games with his rotations, which is his weakness, or his rotation. So I hope that he keeps doing that because I feel like if he can get the rotations down, then we can start maximizing some of the talent on the team. There's no reason why KJ shouldn't have been starting at this point, except politics with Eric Gordon being, a guy that wants to get traded, et cetera, et cetera. The Rockets have to, they try to thread the needle between the politics of having veterans on the team, which they did last year, and developing the young guys. It's really hard to do that, especially when you're trying to win games like they are, and they are trying to win games. But overall a good game. We got OKC tomorrow. We'll see or it'll be today when you guys are watching this. We'll see what that game comes out. I'm excited to see. I kind of need that. I need that victory. I don't like losing to OKC. I just don't like it. I don't like dealing with their fans on Twitter. I just don't think we should lose to OKC. I know it's a back-to-back. They're coming off a back-to-back. We match up well against them. If Sengun plays, I think he's going to have a big game. I think this is a big Jalen game as well. I can see that happening. But let's carry on this momentum to the next game. The Rockets got their victory over the Atlanta Hawks. And yeah, we're going to roll with that and keep pushing with that because, you know, the confidence, the getting dubs really helps these kids feel like what they're doing is actually working, right? It makes those practices a little bit better. It makes when coach talks, you listen a little bit harder. You can't just lose and think human nature is not going to seep in and guys are going to start kind of turning off. So great victory. What did y'all think about the game? Let me know in the comments. Did you like it? Are you happy that we won? Are you just mad because you want to tank for Wemby? Who is your player of the game? I'm going to give the game ball to my main man, Kenyon Martin Jr., and I'm going to split that with Jabari Smith, and I'm going to split it 3 ways with Garrison Mathews. Who do y'all give the game ball to? Let me know in the comments. And if you're not already subscribed, why are you wasting your life? What are you doing? Why are you lost in the wilderness of basketball and you're not subscribed to the Chop Chop channel? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like on this video, and keep rocking with us as we drop this heat at the Chop Shop.